And now I have to tell you, I'm just so pleased that we were able to have somebody come out from District 12, Councilman Mitch Englander's office, because he was out at our dinner on Tuesday. So, you know, we've been bugging you a lot this week. And so I am just thrilled to welcome and introduce Rubine from Council 12, Councilman Mitch Englander's office. Thank you for coming.
I'm a hugger. Give me some more. Here we go. You know what? I had a cool accessory to my ensemble, my glasses. They broke, so I really can't see you. But you'll have to take my word for it. I'm excited to be here. Councilman Englander was at your gala event on Tuesday, and if there was ever a guy, how many of you know Councilman Mitch Englander? Yeah, a lot of folks. Let's give him a round of applause. He's a great guy, really believes in the West San Fernando Valley. It was his idea for me to wear a jacket. What wasn't a very smart decision. It seemed like it at the time. But you know what? He is probably one of the more technologically savvy and focused council people. He's got every new iPhone. He's got a little watch that he can make phone calls on and take pictures with. He's probably watching me right. That's probably his mole right there filming me as we speak. Hi, Council. Anyway, I've rarely done presentations in front of, playground apparatus, but this is the first, and this is great. I got to tell you, I was also a fourth grade teacher for 8 years for LA Unified School District, and this is refreshing because if you went back 20, 30 years, most of the ribbon cuttings and most of the events you would go to would be for football fields, would be for athletic facilities, and those kind of things are very important and valuable to everybody, and it's great to have those kind of extracurricular activities. But now it's neat to see the emphasis and the importance put on things like science and technology and math and engineering. What's the #1 show on TV? Big Bang Theory. And what's it about? Smart people. It's cool to be smart. So study, kids. Take advantage of this wonderful facility. I have a great little certificate here that I'm going to read real quick and give to you. I wrote it myself. I can read up close, I just can't see far. I'm going to use my playground voice. Let's not. Congratulations to Castlebay Lane Charter School on the grand opening of the Science Center. May this facility breathe life into the creativity and aspirations of your future scientists for years to come. Presented by Mitchell Englander, Councilman, 12th District. So thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so very much. Here we go. You smile for Mrs. Wu. And now we are moving into our dedication part of the ceremony. I am thrilled to bring up 2 first grade teachers who are going to tell you about how very special a teacher Bette Fernandez was to this community. And I am only sorry that I didn't know her, but I want you to know that I heard of her within my first week of being a principal here. So that was the impact that she had. Her name was brought to my office within my first 5 days. So I would like to thank so much Mrs. Posie Kramer and Mrs. Stephany Genna for coming up to lead us into the dedication.
Thank you everyone for coming today. Bette was a very special lady, so we'd like to tell you a little bit about her to those who don't know who Bette Fernandez is. Bette Fernandez was a member of our Castlebay family for many years. She could be described as loving, caring, intelligent, generous, humorous, and always curious. When you walked into her classroom, you would always see a science experiment in progress. There were reptiles, baby chicks, odd things growing, various plants, and who knows what else.
Bette set the bar high for the other teachers. She was here late every day and came in every weekend. After she left us for many years with first grade teachers, mantra was, what would Bette do? She wanted every child to be excited about learning. The science lab would have made her day. I wonder what kind of crazy experiments she would have concocted. Thank you.
like to bring up Ralph Fernandez, Betty's husband, as well as her children, who I believe are here. Cory and Jennifer, please come on up.
Hello everyone, I'm Ralph Fernandez, and this is the science lab dedicated to Bette. First I wanted to thank you all for being here, especially the students. Not only is the science lab for the students, but current and future, but also for the teachers and the parents. I want to thank everyone who helped bring this dream to fruition. Ms. Littlejohn, the principal of Castlebay Lane, and also Ms. Dorfman, who did so much work in getting this prepared, setting it up, and bringing it to completion. Okay, so now who was Bette Fries-Fernandes? Bette wasn't just a teacher. Bette went outside the bounds of the traditional teacher-student relationship, where all interactions are expected to be in the classroom, with an occasional passing word on the playground. Bette engaged students on their terms. She loved science, and she knew that almost everyone loved animals. So every year, she would hatch chicks in her classroom. This was the highlight for open house each year, and many students who came into her classroom wanted to be in her class after they graduated from kindergarten. Students could also talk to Bette and rely on her to do the right thing. She never betrayed her students' trust. She gave our phone number to many students and parents and told them to call if they ever had a question. And we received many calls during her 15 years at this school. I don't know how many parents took her up on the request to call. It's not something Bette would talk about. That alone would violate the trust that she had with them. Bette wasn't a typical teacher. She didn't spend a lot of time in the teacher's lunchroom. And as many of you know, when she did eat lunch, she did it in her classroom. This was so that she could spend more time with her students. She spent her time, and very often money, doing things that she believed had an impact on her students, on their learning, on their passions, on their dreams. And her time wasn't just an hour or two after school. It was nights and weekends and during school breaks. You could find her actually in room 26, which was her room. I need to acknowledge and thank my children, Cory and Jennifer, for allowing and encouraging and supporting Bette in living her passion all these years. Bette believed that school wasn't just a place to get through the curriculum and do well on tests that measure whether you learn what the state thinks you should know. It's a place to be yourself, to do your very best that you can do, not because others want it, but because it is fun. And learning and doing these things gives you the skills to continue learning and doing more and more things, well above and beyond what's in the school curriculum. Bette always led by example. She liked to learn and do new things, and she pushed herself to do things outside the box. She didn't spend her summer relaxing or reading or even taking vacations to Hawaii or Europe, although she did love to travel. To the teachers of Castlebay, find your own way to give the students the life lessons that they need to succeed once they get to middle school and beyond, and help them find their passions. Teach them that nothing is handed to them on a platter, but that with hard work and determination and clear goals and the willingness to lean on others for help and support, anything they set their minds to is possible. But also teach them that every single one of them has what it takes. They just need to discover their talents and their passions and the joy of learning and doing something that they didn't think they were quite capable of doing. and do it by example, as Bette did. Be a leader and be someone they can believe in and have pride in, and trust and respect in, and they will be happily follow your example. To the students of Castlebay, if you don't already have one, I challenge you to find a teacher who inspires you, someone who helps you explore and develop your dreams and passions and challenges you. I'm sure that you've heard this many times before. Follow your dreams. To both the students and teachers, please think of Bette every time you walk past this sign above the door or walk through the doorway into this lab. One time, after literally years of begging her about the amount of time that she spent at school, she told me, as long as I can have an impact on just one student, and I know I've made a difference in their lives, then it's all worth it, and I can't give it up. Well, that sure sounds like her. Thank you all for spending the day here and honoring Bette in this way.
Thank you so very much. Thank you very much. All right. I would just like to say to the boys and girls of Castlebay, I am so impressed that you've been sitting there so quietly and so well behaved. You continue to make me proud every day. Well done. You have a lot of visitors here, and I know they're all looking at you and thinking how proud you make them as well. So thank you very much, boys and girls. Our final person that we are going to bring up here is the woman behind everything you are about to see. She had the idea. She ran every single fundraiser. She does not want to be acknowledged for the work that she has done, and we are not going to let that be. She thinks that I'm going to continue on to introduce her, but I am not. I'm going to tell you a little story. One of her third graders last year came to me and said, "May I please speak in an assembly and tell everyone how wonderful my teacher is and all of the things she has done to get the Science Center ready?" And I gulped a big gulp because I didn't have the heart to tell this student that we had a really, really long way to go before we were able to say, yes, come on up and introduce your teacher. So here we are, 1 year later. I would like to bring up McKenna Barrett, who asked 1 year ago if she could please say some words about her teacher last year, Mrs. Sandy Dorfman.
Hi, my name is McKenna Barrett, and I am here to talk about a very special teacher who is the reason why we are all here tonight. It is because of her that we now have a stupendous science lab here at Castlebay. She worked very hard and gave up most of her summer to make sure it would be ready on time. This wonderful lady knows that the science lab can change kids' lives. Who knows, maybe one of us can get interested in science now and cure cancer later. Every time my teacher says it's time to go to science lab, my class says, yay, I love science. I have had the privilege of having this for 2 years. She cares so much about her students, sometimes she forgets to go home till 6 o'clock at night. There are not many teachers like her, so on the count of 3, let's give the spectacular Mrs. Dorfman a yee-haw. 1, 2, 3, yee-haw!
Thank you so much, McKenna. Mrs. Dorfman, get up here. Mrs. Dorfman.
Thank you very much. Very much, McKenna. Thank you very, very much. It was an honor to have you in my class for 2 years. There is only one reason why this science lab is here. It's because of our principal, Victoria Littlejohn. She came to our first faculty meeting and projected on the screen, "You don't have to be sick to get better. You don't have to be sick to get better. You don't have to be sick to get better." Most of us scratched our heads when we read that. We don't have to get better. We are Castlebay. But that statement stayed with us, and then finally, when it sunk in, we started to look around the school. How could we take the next step? How could we take this already great school and make it better? This was empowering. This felt good. When you empower people the way Miss Littlejohn does, it sends a clear message that she believes in you. And when you believe in people, they can soar. They can produce great things individually and as a school. What you will see when you walk into the lab in a few minutes is just the beginning. We are dedicated and committed to keeping our lab focused not only on preparing our students for today, we are focused for tomorrow. Our commitment is to instill the love of science in our students who will one day go forth and do great things. It has been an honor, a true honor, to just be a part of making the science lab a reality, and a privilege. And when I tell you what a privilege it is to be a teacher at this school, I just could go on about that. Every day that I walk into my classroom, I take my hands and I kiss my door and I say, "Thank you, God, for allowing me to be well and to be a teacher at this school." It's an honor to be a teacher here, and it's an honor to live in this unbelievable community, Porter Ranch. Thank you very, very much.
Without further ado, and boys and girls, for those of you who might mistakenly think that what I'm about to show you is plastic, it's not. I hurt myself pulling these out of my office. They are real scissors, and they have been lent to us, I believe, by the Councilman. So thank you very much, Mr. Englander. So I am going to shuffle down here with these very, very heavy scissors. And Mrs. Dorfman, come on. And let's have the Fernandez family come on up.
Very heavy. I'm going to let you go up.
And what shall we do with a count of 3, everybody? 1,